Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we are diving into a pivotal moment in Nigerian history that resonates even beyond its borders, the ill-fated June 12, 1993, election and the treatment of its hero, MKO Abiola. MKO Abiola was not just a businessman, he was a symbol of hope and democracy for millions of Nigerians. But what happened after the vote? A tale of resilience, betrayal, and the relentless pursuit of justice unfolds, revealing how a democratic process can be manipulated and the profound impact it has on a nation's future. In this video, we'll explore the circumstances surrounding the annulment of the election, the dramatic events that led to Abiola's unjust treatment, and what his legacy means for Nigeria today. So, make sure to stick around as we uncover the truth behind this critical chapter in our history. Let's get started.
That was how I told Nduka. I said, wow, and I have to support MKO. He said that was fine. Nduka supported Tofa. So fortunately, there were only two parties. So Nduka went with Tofa, NRC and NRC. So I went with Abiola. And we never quarreled. That's why when people say today, you are not supporting Tinubu, I said, democracy is by choice. You have a choice. My choice was Abiola, Nduka's choice. And I learned a lot from Abiola about what a choice meant, because when people started saying Nduka was attacking me, Nduka said, no, I'm speaking only for my party. Interestingly, he had also attended Nduka's wedding, and he told us the last appearance he made before he was arrested, and we never saw him again, it was Nduka's event. I'll come to that later. So that was how, but what I managed doing was to recruit some of the guys who now started this day. I brought them from my former place of work, which was Classic magazine owned by me, Ellen Ezekiel. Richard Mofedamijo's late wife was our publisher. So some of them, Okagbe Aduba, we had Augustine Sam, and there was this other guy, George who fought. So I recruited them for Nduka. So we couldn't start the publication because by then we were heavily in the campaigns. And so that was how I went into the Abiola campaign. Unfortunately, the June 12th, this a very interesting dimension. I was not even in Nigeria to vote. Because on the 9th of June, Chief Abiola sent me to Vienna in Austria to represent him at the Bruno Kreisky Award, where Gani Fawemi was being honored. He was ready to make such a sign because Gani was the biggest radical in Nigeria, and Abiola was fascinated by him. So I left on the evening of the 9th of June. So through London, I got to Vienna on the 10th afternoon. Then the event was on the 11th. The Bruno Kreisky Awards was on the 11th. Then on the 12th, I left Vienna and went back to London. And when I got to London, I was monitoring the election. So on Sunday, the 13th, I phoned Concord newspapers where I had worked in the past. And I asked what was going on. They said, oh, I shouldn't worry. Chairman was coasting home to victory. Nothing was going to stop his victory. So I was quite elated. Then on the 14th, which was Monday, I called Nduka Obagbena in Nigeria because I knew he was always having serious information. And he said, in those days we didn't have phones like now. He said, Dele, I've been looking for you. Where are you? I said, I'm in London. He said, wow, if you can reach your chairman, Chief Abiola, please reach him now. He's going to win the election, but the military will not give it to him.
Wow.
I said,
this was before the election was the winner was even announced.
You will not be. I said Nduka was talking. How can somebody win election? They won't give it to him. The things we have seen in Nigeria. So anyway, so Chief Gani Fawemi joined me in London that day. God bless his soul. So I told him what Nduka told me. I couldn't reach chairman anyway. So he too said, no, it's not possible. Hi. So on the 16th, which was a Wednesday, we decided to go back to Nigeria via Gatwick Airport. So, and then while we were at Gatwick, we got the information that they had stopped announcing results in Nigeria. So Chief got in touch with Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti, Fela's brother, got in touch with our brother, Mr. Femi Falana, now Senior Advocate of Nigeria. And so they all waited for us at the airport. Because Chief said the struggle will start as soon as we touch down. We must start the fight. So we started the fight, but nothing happened. And then towards end of July, I think 31st of July, Chief Abiola said I should come to his house to see him, that he wanted to send me a message to Dele magazine. And Dele was no longer operating from their regular office. They were in the bush, what we call the bush offices. I got to Chief Abiola's house at 2 p.m. He didn't see me until 4 a.m. Wow. I was tired. So by the time he came, the whole place was empty. I was the only person waiting for him in his sitting room. He said they should make me as comfortable as possible. And then he brought out some documents for me to take to the Dele guys. And he had this habit of seeing off his visitors, so he saw me off. And and then when we got to the staircase, he likes pulling when he wants to whisper. He's the Dele one. He likes to call me Dele one. The Dele one. I'm sorry I've kept you waiting since afternoon, but I was holding a very important meeting. I'm the commander-in-chief.
Oh!
So I didn't understand it, but later I understood what he meant. So there are things we still can't say because the principal actors are still very much around. So I left. That night was the bachelor's eve of one of my colleagues, Mayor Akinpelu, maybe you know.
City people?
No, Mayor is the publisher of Global Excellence.
Global Excellence.
Yes. So he was having his bachelor's eve at La Campagne Tropicana in Adeni Jones. So I went there. It was getting to around 5-6 a.m. By the time I was getting there, the party had ended. But I was in the mood. I've been sitting down in one place all night. I was in the mood to just go out and jollificate. So I went to water parks on Toyin Street, where Shino Peters was performing. As I was getting there, Shino too was just packing up. I said, what kind of wahala is this? Me, I wanted some fun. I didn't know what was pushing me. Then I went to the night shift Coliseum of, what's it called? At that time, no, they were still on Okwebi. So I went there, and when I got there, they had finished. So the governor, Ken Caleb Zulumese, great man, Then I should sit down, let's have some drinks and all that. Anyway, we had some drinks and, a couple of sandwiches. And then I left. So I now went to Akowojo, where Chief had sent me originally. Even me, I didn't even look at what Chief gave me. I didn't know they were very sensitive documents. Yes. So I went to the place to see Mr. Kolawole Ilori, who was one of the directors of Dele magazine. And I just gave him, and it was a day, environmental day, it was a Saturday morning now. So I was able to drive because of the media tag. Yeah, so the roads were free, everything. So I just drove to my house. I was living in Former at that time. I was living in a place called Adigboduja in Ojodu. So that was where I was staying with my wife. We were newly married. And then I went into bed. I was tired. Then suddenly my wife rushed inside and said some people were banging on my door. I said, who? She said she doesn't know that. That's why I'm the man that I should go and ask them. So I struggled out of bed and I went. And I said, who are you? Then he said, we're from police headquarters in Moloni, that you are wanted. I said, wanted by who? Said, no, I should stop asking questions, that I should open the door, otherwise they will break it down. So my wife said, are you going to open? I said, you heard him say we'll break it down now, so we don't have a choice. So I opened, and this guy came in. He was apparently a northerner. And he said, my boss would like to see you. I said, who is your boss? He said, Assistant Commissioner of Police Ganiyu Daudu. He said, he's in the car, so let me bring him up. I said, yeah, bring him. And then the man came in. We greeted, and then after we greeted, he said he has instructions to arrest me. I said, well, I've just gotten home. If he doesn't mind, he should give me some minutes to go and freshen up and pack my bag. He said, oh, I won't need my bag. I said, no. From Chief Gani Fahimi's experience, he was always ready. Anytime they came to arrest him, he had his bag packed. Everything.
Customer.
Yes, so I packed. You can't sleep on the floor, you know. You have to use Dettol. You must pack everything ready. And this was not the first time they were arresting me. I had been arrested before and taken to where there were coup plotters. Yeah, so another story for another day.
No, we'll still discuss that story. We'll still discuss that story today. But just complete this one.
So I got to force headquarters, and it took me, I think, it was like in the 4th floor or something. You know, when somebody wants to break you down, wear you down, mentally, physically, psychologically, and otherwise, I was left alone in that room for hours. No soul, no water, no food, no conversation, nobody in sight. And then eventually one woman came in and introduced herself as Mrs. Lawal. I can't remember her first name now, but that's another big story. You know? And she said, hello, Mr. Momodu. Hope everything is fine. I said, how can everything be fine in this place? She said, well, she doesn't know why they have asked them to arrest me. All she knows is that they said they should bring me to Abuja and all that. And one of them had whispered to me when we were in the car that I should do everything possible not to go to Abuja, because if they take me to Abuja, they will forget me inside prison. So I was praying that they would leave me in Lagos. And then later, they came back to tell me that they have to go and search my house. So they took me. The Mr. Ganiyu Daudu is dead now, he's late. I will pray for this. He really helped me to ensure that I will never forget. If his family or anybody is watching this, I'm saying a big thank you to them. There are good police people, but it's their job. They just want to do it. Yeah. He told me he had met me with a friend of mine, and we are related to people. I came here, it's like we all knew each other.
Yeah.
That's my style, you know. So anyway, he said he would try to make sure. So let's keep it. The person who said I didn't need my bag, by the time we were getting back from the search, they picked some documents. They said were seditions. Anyway. That was added to the Alagbon detention center. Again, Alagbon has 2 different wings with different cells. There is the regular wing and there is the executive wing. To be in the executive wing at that time, you need, it's like paying for Sheraton.
Oh, you have to pay?
You have to settle some people now. It's not official, but you have to sort out the people to be able to get.
Because I've heard something like that before, just for.
So this thing don't take away the happen.
It's pretty cool.
It don't take. So, but a lot of them knew me already and all that. So in the cell, you will also have president. There is a president of the cell, there is Inspector General of Police, there is OC Treasury. In the cell, yes. There is OC Treasury, which is Minister of Finance, I later became OC Communications, Minister of Communications.
Inside prison.
It's higher.
Wow.
You know. So when I got in, I saw a man. He was also in detention. I don't want to call him a prisoner. He was in detention, but he tied a wrapper. He had a
pot belly.
A pot belly almost like mine or bigger, you know. And then he smiled at me, looked at me like this from afar when I walked towards him. He was under a tree. He was allowed, as president, one of your privileges is that you can be outside, enjoying the breeze, you know. So he looked at me, said, "You are Dele Momodu, Abi?" I said, "Yes, sir." Said, my name is Tunde Awelewa. I'm the managing director of 21st Century Finance House. He was a banker, big man. He said, "I knew you were going to get into trouble. I've been reading some of your stuff. I knew you were going to get into trouble. So what has brought you here now?" I said, "Trouble." You know. Then he shouted, "IG!" I was wondering, does the Inspector General of Police live in that place? He now said, "No, we have our own IG in this place." So the guy matched up. He said, "We have a new image here. So, Oga, here is Kalakuta Republic. Once you get here, you are no longer in Nigeria. So you have to make contributions to the state of Kalakuta." I said, "No problem." Then he called OC Treasury. That's the treasurer, the Minister of Finance. So I handed him the money. Then they took me inside. So there is an iron door, like a gate. They will open that gate. You will enter it. So I entered. Then they will lock it. Then they will ask you to face outside. And then the IG would say after me. Yes. "Goodbye to Nigeria. Goodbye to Nigeria. Welcome to Kalakuta Republic. Welcome to Kalakuta Republic." Then they will march you to the end of the cell where they had the board of do's and don'ts. And they will say, "Now read after me. Alejo Kawai, Alejo Kawai. Alejo Kawai, Alejo Kawai. No do, no do, no do, no do. I do am, I do am. Alarm blow, alarm blow. Now my head I go take carry am. You have to knock your head against the wall and the president must hear it outside. Your head will almost scatter."
Wow.
What goes on in Nigeria? Forget it too. And I'm not sure those things have even changed. I'll fast forward. Then the first night I couldn't sleep. It's difficult to sleep because the mosquitoes in those cells, I think they were of a special breed. So your face, everything will be swollen. And around that 5, because you haven't slept all night, then the sleep will now be coming in installment. You'll be going small. And then around after 5, one man will come, one of the officers. "Everybody wake up! No big man in prison. Go and fetch your water. Go and say." So later, one of Obono goes in the cell now. Old police officer, yes. So like, I'm going to slap him. So when I was going to bed, calling him, I took 100 naira under my pillow. Even that pillow, the different people had deposited different layers of sweat. And so my wife had to bring clothes and things to cover up. Anyway, the man came. "Hey, no big man in prison." No, say, I said, "Excuse me, sir." He said, "Yes." I just dropped the 100 naira. Hey, the man smiled. I thought he was slap me. He smiled. He said, "From today, you are our Minister of Communications."
Wow. They didn't make you AIG.
You know, that was how it started. And then to use the washroom, we called it the World Bank. Everybody will go and deposit his own inside those buckets.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm saying this so that people can know what some of us suffered. because people see us and just think and in my own case, a lot of people who suffered it, they've gotten the benefit. I've never requested for any benefit. I've never been in any government. I've been in opposition since 1982 at the age of 32 after I left university.
So the benefits that you refer to now is that some of the people who went through this experience now got into government,
and they are now doing the same thing to others.
Wow, that's terrible.
That is the biggest pain for me. I tell people, and we will get there, that when people are saying, why would you not support Tinubu, who was one of your own? I said, I don't mind if Tinubu cannot fix our economy, but he must fix our democracy. Well, that's what we fought for. I don't care. Everything else, I don't care. If he likes, he let him stay 1 million years. As long as he wins election genuinely, I will clap for him. But if it is about using force against opposition, I will complain, and I don't care. Anybody can say whatever they like. Because we fought for this democracy. Some people died for this democracy. Their families are still suffering today. The scars are still written all over us. We haven't fully recovered. And yet, is this the democracy we fought for? My answer is no.
Okay, so I'm going to ask very quickly, because I think when you say, because I haven't gone through all this, and it was a lot of you guys who went through all this, and then up till now, how many years down the line, it's still not the democracy that you guys were fighting for. Do you think that we can ever have democracy? Because I share the sentiment that I don't think that there's democracy anymore. It's almost like as you are living, you choose this guy. This guy where you don't choose now, where you choose now, he must enter. Right? So do you think at some point, the last election cycle in Nigeria looked as if it was going to be how do I put it, a government of the people, for the people, by the people. At least for the first time, we could see that there was different opinion. People they decide. Do you think that we can ever have such an election cycle anymore with what we have right now?
I started life as an optimist. I hope I don't end life as a pessimist. It's a big question that you have asked. If I tell you I have the precise answer, I'll be lying. It is embarrassing to think that those who purportedly fought for democracy, they are the ones now endangering our democracy. I'm not sure if it will happen in our lifetime. I am not sure. So I'm playing safe. But we must all strive hard to make sure it happens. Because if it doesn't happen, you and I, our children, our grandchildren, Nigeria is one of the most beautiful countries on earth. If I believe it's the most beautiful country, it's a land overflowing with milk and honey, which our leaders have bastardized. And I am hoping that something will happen. What will happen, how it will happen, when it will happen, where it will happen, I have no idea. But we just can't continue like this. A situation where one man, one group of people will hold an entire nation by the jugular. It won't go well for our democracy. I'm pretty sure of that. It has reached the stage where people are afraid to talk. Governors are afraid to talk. Governors of one party are going to the ruling party to go and pledge their loyalty, hoping that they will not remove them illegally, and one court will not justify the illegality. I mean, that's critical. Our situation is very critical. And if there is nothing else I can do about it, at least I can talk about it. And that's why I'm here.
Interesting. We are going to give you more time to talk about it when we get there. But that's your interesting story about your experience, because we would want you to wrap that up, and I would like for you to link that to all that your wife had to deal with Because in all honesty, when we look at sacrifices that certain people make, we fail to recognize that there are so many people connected to them who also dealt with that situation. Imagine a newly married woman who is supposed to be enjoying her husband. Next thing, somebody knock for door, say you are a wanted man, and before you know, the man don't come off for house. You know, that pressure and all. So let's still go back to the prison experience. You know, then I think we will now go to how eventually you went on exile. These are terms that are not even common in our political, in our political balance lexicon today. That some people will run away from their country, not in search of greener pastures, but because of they are afraid of their lives. So let's wrap with that Alagbon experience.
Okay, let me also ask you to kindly remind me later, before the end of this particular saga, to say, you know, I started by saying it was a potpourri of sadness and joy. And we're talking about the sadness now, but we was also talking about the joy.
Yes.
Because I want to encourage people that it is not all sadness. People, it may discourage people that, why am I fighting? What am I fighting? God has a way of compensating the righteous.
True.
So, and I will want us to discuss that, to be able to encourage others who are in my situation right now. So the Alagbon thing, part of the sadness was that I was there for roughly maybe about a week or a week plus, by which time Abiola took off and went abroad. That was when they said he took his plane and ran away from Nigeria. I was very excited. I was hoping he won't come back because I knew that for as long as he was alive, there was hope that he would be able to recollect
his mandate.
So anyway, I came out of detention. They were telling me I should not follow Abiola again. Me, I'm a one-way traffic. I said, nobody can stop me. So I went straight to Abiola's house. And when I got there, I went to see my former boss, Dr. Doyin Abiola, in our apartment. He had 4 apartments for 4 wives within his compound. Dr. Abiola was not very warm to me. And this somebody who likes me, that because of my writing, she was my boss, she was my MD. And I was wondering, why, what is wrong? Why?
The cold shoulder.
But so, there was a kind of cold shoulder. And then after some time, she could see, she too was uncomfortable, I was uncomfortable. She said, Dele, please, let's go into my study. She had the study in the place. So we entered the study. When we got there, then you must have noticed that I didn't warm up to you. I was wondering what I did. I'm just coming straight from detention, and I expected that you'd be excited that I've been released. She said, oh, some of your friends came here and told me that nobody arrested you, that you are in fact a spy.
Jesus.
Wow.
I will continue to talk about it. That's what happens in every struggle. Those who have not lifted a finger would always discredit those who have lost almost everything. Except God rescues you. So we had people within that organization that their own was to be rumor mongers. That I can't get over. I remember there were 2 guys who were part of the speech writers for MKO Abiola at that time. Nnamdi Obasi, I believe, and Chike Akabugu. Brilliant guys. They used to work on the editorial board of the Concord newspapers. And some people went and told lies against them, blah, blah, blah. They were fired.
Kai.
Yes, one of them later died. He was a sickler. You know, later died. There was also Isaac Agbetusi. We used to call him Gaddafi. You will remember that tall man that was doing toilet business is good business.
Yeah.
He started those mobile toilets.
Yes.
It was Abiola's personal bodyguard at the time. And they went and lied against him that he was also, you know, a mole and he was going to kill Abiola. They fired him.
Kai.
Oh yes. Oh, the casualties of his struggle. Many of them you will never know unless an insider tells you about them. I was an insider. And that helped me to be very careful about life. Your best friends, when they see that your boss loves you exceptionally, they get jealous. So even within that struggle, you still have to struggle your own struggle.
Around the struggle.
There were reports that some people would be seen around the late MKO Abiola during the day, but at night they would go over to the other side.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. The day I was going to that Vienna I traveled to for the Bruno Kreisky Award, Abiola said I should come in the evening on my way to the airport to pick some money. So I went there, and unusually the place was quiet. We had just launched his books at National Theatre. The book I think was compiled and written by Dr. Yemi Ogunbi and Dr. Chidi Amuta. You know, and so I was shocked that Abiola's house was always crowded, and this was 3 days to the election on the 9th of June. So when I got there was only one man in the city. I said, what's going on? So Chief said I should come into the bedroom. So I went into the bedroom with him. Then he whispered to me, Dele one, that man sitting outside is their spy.
Wow.
He's all wired up. They've asked him to come and check the mood in my house so that he will report back to them. He said, me, I'm a game player. I know that game. He said, I am giving him the impression that I cannot win that election. You know, so he will go and report back to them. Because otherwise, they may not even allow this election to take place. You remember that Aton Zeribi, all of them, they wanted to stop the election now. So that guy must have gone to tell them that Abiola's house, there is no jubilation, nobody is even, in fact, they are worried. The chief says he can't win. Chief told them he can't win that election. He played them.
Wow.
Yes, they almost stopped the election. They were going to stop it, go to court and stop it. Nothing will happen. If they can kill an entire election, they will stop it. Nothing was going to happen. So I was an eyewitness to some of these shenanigans.
Wow.
Yeah, so talking about family, my family was not too badly affected until much later when Abacha came. You know, with Babangida is a very cosmopolitan man, you know, very breezy, very friendly. If you are arrested, you can still negotiate with him, but with Abacha, there was no negotiation. You know, so my wife, in 1994, 95 now, Abiola said we should go on vacation. Because since we got married, we've never had time for honeymoon or anything. So imagine, despite his own situation, he was still encouraging us. My wife could not take him. Where was the time for you to fire another house?
Wow. So because of all that you have to deal with,
you are constantly on the road. As you go to Jos today, you are going to something tomorrow, you are going everywhere. Your wife can't be following you now in such situations.
Was there ever a time where your wife asked you to leave politics behind, or she wanted you to, or you could feel that pressure from her?
No. You see, because Abiola had just been too nice to us, and she knows me. Even if she asks me, I will not agree. I'm a one-way traffic. If you tell me don't, I will not. Every day, people call my wife. People attack me. People abuse me. Even something as ordinary as I was supporting this big brother girl. What's her name? Erica. Imagine, Erica. I didn't know this. I wasn't even watching the thing, but I just read somewhere on the internet that they chased her out of the big brother house. So I got interested. What did she do? You know, and then I support the underdog. So I saw that, why would they do this to this girl? And I could see that she was almost going mental, you know? And I said, no, and I'm going to support her. People started attacking me. They started attacking, especially when I wrote that she's going to be the star of Africa. Hey, they got angry that she cannot even be the star of Nigeria. Top less of Africa. I got to a stage, my wife called me. He said, the way people are attacking me, she's ashamed. People are telling her. I said, madam, sorry, be ashamed. But this girl, I'm going to support her. Hey, what's your own? And I said, to people say she's my girlfriend, no problem. But I'm telling you that I'm not going to allow some kids to bully me off my social media account. That's one thing about me. Once I take a position, and you will not believe it, what I said was going to happen was to happen. She became an African star. She did not win. She was ejected. She was rejected. But for me, she became the biggest star of that moment. I don't know. What happened? Lekon won or Lekon?
Yes. Okay, so real quick. What were apart from the challenges that you just laid down, what were the other challenges that Abiola faced, and how do you think it could have been handled differently then?
Well, the challenge that you will normally face in situations like that is all kinds of fake and genuine advice.
Biggest.
That's the biggest thing now. People will come up with all kinds of. I remember when the Abacha coup happened. I think it happened November 17, which must have been a Thursday if you Google it. I don't know. You know, time. It's been long now, 30-something years. So Abiola went into hiding. I think he knew something was going to happen, so he had to go into a bunker, you know. So all of us went into different bunkers at different times. So he went to a bunker somewhere off Allen Avenue and didn't come out until, I think, Saturday. It happened on a Thursday. I think he came out on a Saturday. And then he called a meeting of his inner caucus. In that meeting, we had Alhaji Dele. We had Alhaji Shukwadetono, the younger brother of the Awujale of Jebuland. We had Professor Femi Abalajobi. We had Yabo Ababa, the younger sister of Dr. Doyin Abiola, and myself. We were in a room and we were discussing the Abacha coup. Because Abacha had promised to reinstall Abiola. Yes. That was the promise before he did his coup, that he will come, take over and clean out the Babangida guys. I haven't fully read the Babangida account, so I would like to see if he discussed that in it. But this is an angle that I'm telling you, and I can tell you it's very factual. So he was promoting and projecting himself as a pro-democracy soldier. That was how Abiola lost his guard. He believed it. Abiola is like me. I believe people easily. There is a situation I'm facing right now as I'm talking to you now, and I'm looking stupid because I believed in certain people. I thought everybody is like me. You know? So Abiola was like that. But if you ask my weakness is I trust. I don't bother about agreements, and if I will honor my side, if you don't honor yours. But if I choose to fight, I will fight it out. But more often than not, I just let it go if I can afford. So at any rate, so we were in that meeting. Of course, I was the smallest person. I was just watching and listening, but he allowed me to be there. And then, one after the other, his inner caucus was telling him, you fought Babangida, he left. You fought Shonekan. By then, you know, Abacha took over
from the interim government.
He fought Shonekan, he left. Now you want to start fighting Abacha again. When people say, is it only you?
These were some of his members of his inner caucus.
Yes. One of them stood up and said, Chief, if you studied the speeches of Abacha before the coup, you will know he's a pro-democracy soldier. They were justifying him. So why don't you try and cooperate with him so that everything will go well. So you can't be fighting everybody. It's not everybody that is battle ready in the struggle. For different reasons and different motives, people will say whatever is convenient for them. Okay. So when they said that, Abiola now said, Dele, I want you to go and get me some of Abacha's speeches before the coup. And I said, okay, I should be able to get some of them at Tell magazine. And they were on Acme in Ikeja, so Acme Road. So that night I fished out their librarian, and then we got some of the speeches. So on Sunday morning, I took those speeches to Chief Abiola's house. When I got there, they said it was in Dr. Doyin Abiola's apartment. He used to eat in different, depending on the wife. It's like in turns, polygamous home. So I went to see him there. Go and wait for me upstairs. He was eating. I remember he was eating beans and something that day, that morning. So I went there, waited for him. Then when he came, we went into his bedroom. Then he said, have you heard? I said, heard what's that? Baba is leaving us. Money which Baba? Baba Ghana King Gibe. I said, Vice President Yakari, they leave. I said, Chief, don't listen to rumor mongers. I said, it's not possible. I said, he's gone.
His vice presidential candidate.
Yes, he was the one who broke the news to me. Baba is going. He didn't say the name. He said Baba is going. I said, who is Baba? He said Baba Ghana King Gibe. And that's not all. Your big brother, your Egbon, is also going. I said, which Egbon again? He said Bino Topsy, Chief Minister of Atokwe, who was the biggest radical of all of us. The way you open your mouth is the way I opened my mouth. It almost reached my ears. I said, this is getting out of hand though. So he called a meeting of all the big leaders in his house that evening for them to come. And when they came, they were just speaking in staccato voices. This one will say that one will say that. I'm not in politics because of anybody. I'm not where me too have decided to join the Abacha because if we don't go, other groups will take the appointments. Yes, one by one, they were just stripping the man naked. The story of June 12 has not been fully told. It's a long, long story. Like the band, you say, long, long thing. Yeah. So, that was it. And at the meeting, they told Abiola, you have to go and negotiate with Abacha. You have to go and meet him. And so that they will not accuse him of not listening to his supporters. He planned to leave. So that night, he drained dogs and cats. So they couldn't make it. They now postponed the meeting to the following day. So that was the picture you will see Tinubu behind Abiola. Yeah. Abacha and Abiola are walking, and you see Tinubu somewhere in the background. So Abacha told them, don't worry, I will sort things out. That nothing was sorted out. Eventually, it just consolidated power.
Kai!
Yeah.
With support from people who were loyal to MKO Abiola.
But most of them were his ministers. Most of the pro-democracy people, Chief Olu Onogoruwa, who became Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Chief Emir Atokwe became Minister of Transport. Well, there were many of them. Baba Latif Jakonde was a minister. Mr. Alexi Bru was a minister. Alhaji Abubakar Rimi was a minister. All the big guys joined that government. And that was it. And what was worse was that some of them were justifying it with we're not in politics because of anybody. Nobody said you are in politics, but you should be in politics on matters of principle, So Abiola went through so much. So then by 1995, during the anniversary of June 12, Abiola declared himself president. That was when the Wala started properly. And he had to go into hiding for 13 days. So he went into hiding. The last place he was hiding was in Surulere. Only a few people knew his movement. It was in Surulere, in Senator Wahab Dosumu's house in Surulere. And we had to go and bring him out. And then he came back to his house at Momodu Abiola Crescent off Toyin Street. So we were in a convoy, and the jeep, it was an open road jeep, was supplied by Prince Ademola Adeniji Dele of blessed memory. And there was one man. Abiola was in the middle, and there was one man hanging outside the door on the right. I was hanging on the left. And when we got close to the turning into Momodu Abiola, you won't believe what happened. Someone, apparently the man on the other side was a babalawo, like a herbalist, a juju man. Someone supplied. That's the thing about politics. So they said, don't worry, that if that man is there, the police will not be able to catch Abiola, and the man will release honeybees and into the sky. He was the first to panic.
He was
the first to panic. And Chief Abiola was full of humor. So when we got there, the man just stretched to Chief. And all those people waiting for us.
He's meant to disperse.
The person who is supposed to have audition.
And the chief said, don't worry, I'm their commander-in-chief. Yeah, Chief was a bold, courageous. I said, don't worry, I'm their commander-in-chief. And I was watching all this. I knew the person, the supplier of the Babalawo, I can't mention. And as I said, my life is a potpourri of sadness and joy.
We'll still get to the joy. It's not like I love sadness, but I would want
to exhaust the sadness.
Yes, so that people would,
when joy comes in the morning,
so that when joy comes in the morning, it comes So there were police officers stationed already.
Hundreds of them. So they allowed us to drive into Momodu Abiola. It was a gated estate. So we drove into it. They waited patiently. The vulture is a patient bird. So we got in. And then some of the old babas had suggested that we should do the Iranian style, where you use, they call it passive resistance. You use the massive crowd to protect the leader.
You form like a human shield.
So we thought the human shield option would work. In Nigeria, nothing works. All the things that will work elsewhere won't work in Nigeria. Anyway, we got inside. People were eating amala. We had some maybe Fuji musician, thinking that we could motivate those who would protect our leader. As soon as people heard the amala, they were going home one by one.
Wow.
Nigeria, we don't have a history of sustained struggle. That's why NLC will say we will shut down the country every time. I've heard it more than 100 times in my lifetime.
And the country will shut them down.
Wow.
So, and I left. Chief himself allowed me to go. That I hadn't freshened up in 48 hours. I was feeling sticky and everything. So I went home and I told him I'll come back. Because come rain, come shine, I wasn't going to leave him. So I went and then came back. By the time I came back, those police people that the Babala was supposed to help us disperse, they had actually dispersed themselves into Abiola's house.
Wow.
They had surrounded everywhere. And they were not allowing cars to go out or to go in. I got there, I couldn't do anything. So I went to a business center on Allen and phoned the house. And I was able, the security people connected me to Baba. That was the last time I spoke to him. He said, Dele won. I hear they are coming to arrest me at about 1 a.m. But I don't think Sonny can try it. Sonny tried it.
Wow.
And it was.
So where is it? Sonny means Sonny Abacha?
Sonny Abacha.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So they arrested him. So the following day I read that they had arrested Chief. So I went to his house. The wife said they took him away. They don't know where they are taking him to. After a few days, he smuggled out a letter, I'm sure he must have sent to different members of the family, but at that time I was reporting to my boss, Dr. Dele Abiola, who told me she received a letter and that chief was asking about me, and I was even asking me to come and see him, but I should disguise, come with a recorder and a camera. It would have been a dangerous mission, but I agreed. I was ready to do it. My wife was shaking, asking if my wife to come. She didn't discourage me. She was just shaking. She said, if it's chief, we must do it.
Wow.
And, yes.
Your own wife.
My own wife. Said if it's anything Abiola, there are people that in this world, anything for them, if I have it, if I can afford it, even if I can't afford it, if I can borrow it, I will find it. Abiola was one of them. There is another man. We will talk about him in the course of this conversation. You know, and I borrowed a chief dress, like a Benue man, you know, and so I got the recorder and the camera. So on my way, I was supposed to fly to Maiduguri, then drive from Maiduguri to Damaturu, and from Damaturu to Gashua prison.
He was kept in
Gashua at first. Yes, he was kept in Gashua at first. So, and Chief Gani Fawehinmi had been kept there before, and I was an authority on Chief Gani Fawehinmi. I was the one always reporting stories about his experience in that prison. So I was fully prepared. I had gone to ask what was the place like. You know, my theory is that before you go to a place, you must do your investigation. Mm-hmm. So at any rate, on my way, I spoke to Dr. Dele Abiola, and she said, no, I shouldn't waste my time, that they had moved him. So they kept moving him, and I never saw him again. I was looking forward to seeing him. I never saw him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we would still proceed. Let's now talk about how you were forced to run away from Nigeria, the circumstances surrounding that incident, and a vivid description of the incident, because if not for film, then put this, now only film, those kinds of things they happen. But today you would explain in detail.
Even in a movie, a lot of the things I'm saying, people will say, oh, it's an exaggeration, hyperbole. No, I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm being very sincere and straightforward. I'm saying it because you've described your mission to me, and your mission is for people to know that a lot of what our pastor had preached. Because in Nigeria, people just think we're just here. I am personally saddened that we have not been able to get things right, despite all this huge sacrifice. So now about running away, I never planned to run out of Nigeria. On July 22nd, 1995, I remember it vividly. I had left Abeokuta. I had gone to see my professional godfather, Chief Olusegun Oshoba. So I passed the night in Abeokuta, and I came back to Lagos. So on my way home, I saw my wife's car, and I said, what is my wife doing here? So then I saw her. I said, Madam, what are you doing here? He said, I'm waiting for you. I said, how did you know I will pass here? He said, well, I had to take a chance because some people came to the house this morning to tell me to tell you to disappear.
Wow.
Yes, 22nd July, 1995. I said, what have I done? She said she doesn't know, but they told me that there is a credible intel that if I stay, they will arrest me and may charge me for treason, which might be punishable by death.
Wow.
From that moment, where I saw my wife till today, I never saw my house again.
Wow.
Never. Because I lost everything. They had to pack out, because it was a rented house at the time. Yeah, in Adigboluja. I never went back to the house. So I just told my wife, so I had my British passport on one passport and all that. Then I called a friend of mine who had run into exile, Tokunbo Afikuyomi. like Tinubu. So they had what they call Nadeko route at the time. So anyway, I asked, so what do I need to do? They said I should go and get an ECOWAS passport so that my regular passport is not seen or confiscated on the way, and that I should have at least 2 or 3 other people with me. So that was exactly what I did. I had 3 people with me, and Lord have mercy. So I told my wife I have to leave. So I sent a message to a very wealthy Nigerian who I had met in 1991, 3 years earlier. Because I never planned to run away from Nigeria. So I didn't have money even that would take me all the way and all that. I was just a regular journalist and PR consultant to a few companies. Anyway, the man said they should give me some money to spend on the way, to spend when I get there. And then I called my friends who were already in the Nadeko problem, and then they told me, okay, you have to go and get a passport, you have to go and get this, and then, but don't go straight through the Seme border. There is a smuggler's route. Yes. So my brother-in-law, Captain Rotimi Seriki, he was a pilot. So he is of blessed memory now. He really helped. So he investigated, he had friends and all that. And so we agreed to go. Then Kunle Bakare, the publisher of Encomium, he was one of the founders of Fame magazine, was with us. We had, who was the third person? Mayor Akipo? No, not Mayor. Captain Seriki. Okay. Mr. Bola Orolugbagbe is now a high chief in Ilesha. So, it's the Odole of Igisha land. So he followed us. Kunle Bakare, Encomium, and Captain. 3 of them. One person had my bag, another had my passport, and we had to do it so just in case that at least we will not lose everything. So I was just going in front, dressed like a farmer going to his farmland, 5 a.m. I left my wife and my child of under 1 year old.
The child was under 1 year old.
Under 1 year old.
Did you ever live with the thought that you might not see them again?
Oh yes. That's why I cried. When I crossed into Cotonou, I was crying like a baby. I was so scared that where am I going? When will I get there? Will I ever get there? Will I ever come back? And if I come back, when? Will I be alive or will I be dead? In literature, we call it stream of consciousness. It was just flowing. And the other thing, we call soliloquy in literature, where you are soliloquizing and, just imagining all sorts happening to you. So that was my situation. So eventually we got to Cotonou, then they found me one place to go and freshen up, change my outfit and everything. And I said I was still scared because Cotonou was too close to Nigeria that they would still come and find me in Cotonou. From there, I moved to Togo. From Togo, I moved to Ghana that evening. So I got to Ghana and I found a very beautiful country, which I liked. And I promised that when all this is over, I'll come back to live in the country. So that was it. And I don't even know.
Wow, interesting.
I just really feel like this is quite unfair because do you think they teach this in schools? Like they teach this in history?
Nobody's interested. Even if you want to teach it. I'm surprised that you are even listening with Raptor. A lot of times when I try to tell these stories, they will cut it.
Sure.
They will say because they are not interested. Nobody is interested in your story. Hey, you suffered. Oh, Peleo.
So, sir, what do you think is necessary for Nigerians to do to ensure that the sacrifices you made, Abiola made, and others made, is for democracy is not just swept under the rug?
That's why it is painful that those you thought fought for this are in power, and we can't even talk freely. I can't get over that.
Okay, sir. So you've detailed how you have left Nigeria. First of all, you find out that Nigeria is no longer safe for you to live in. You've left your wife, your child that is under 1 year old. You've had to cross through Cotonou to Togo to Ghana. So now we want to know about your life in exile. Nigeria is no longer safe, but your wife and child are still left behind. What did that look like for you?
I was going out of my mind. Naturally, I was particularly worried for the safety of my wife and my first son. They had to join me. The question was how and when. My wife is very brave and audacious. She's a prayer warrior, unlike me. I call myself a sinner, so she helps once in a while to pray. And she insisted on going through the airport. That for me didn't make sense. You could see what I went through, like a camel going through the eye of a needle. That was how I got out of Nigeria. So she said she would go through the airport, and so I had no choice. So we bought the ticket with my friend for her and my son, and then I was waiting at Gatwick Airport the following day, and I waited and waited at this, and all other people, passengers, were coming out. My heart just froze that maybe they've arrested her and my son. I remember on that flight there was Mrs. Kufori Jolubi, one of the top corporate female leaders, a chartered accountant and all that. At that time, my wife didn't come out. After some time, I just saw her, with the trolley. My son was sitting on top of the trolley and everything, and I was so excited. And so we were staying with a friend of ours, Bengalu lawyer, in Custom House. Then later he moved to Beckton in East London. The question now was, what will I do for a living?
Especially coming from being comfortable.
Yeah, from being very
Nigeria.
comfortable. Very. My wedding was rated as one of the top 3 weddings of 1992 in Nigeria.
Wow.
Yes, and that was the year Kola Abiola got married. So you can
Abiola's
imagine.
son.
Yeah, Abiola's son. And my wedding was rated by Punch as one of the top 3 weddings of that year. So you can imagine, so I wasn't a poor man. By 1995, I was already a consultant, media PR consultant to Chief MKO Abiola. In fact, I started advising Chief Abiola from the time I was barely 30 years old. Yes, God really blessed me. So you can imagine an account like that. I was managing Summit Oil International, which was the second indigenous oil company in Nigeria to strike oil in commercial quantity. After that, I started working for Dr. Mike Adenuga, the chairman of GLOW, who was the first to discover oil in commercial quantity, corn oil, which was called consolidated oil. And that corn oil is still there till today. It was number 1. Abiola was number 2. Then thereafter, I was working for the chairman of UBA, the man who first bought UBA at that time, Akim Bello Osage. All the top guys in Nigeria
Were in your back pockets.
they were just, because I think I was born for PR. If I package you, you must smell like rose. And God gave me that interconnectivity. I can connect to anybody. I always say that your network is your net worth. I started very early. I was, a private secretary to Chief Akamoburu, the former deputy governor of Ondo State, when Ondo was a combination of Ondo and Ekiti. I was only 23 years old.
Wow.
After that, I worked for the One of Ife, Oba Okwadeshi Olubishe II. I was 25, 26. Then I went back for my master's degree, and by the time I finished, the first job I got was for MKO Abiola in 1988. I got to Lagos in May 1988. By May 1990, I became the highest paid editor in Nigeria.
Wow.
Yes, 2 years. Because I was working like what we call Okubo Enoch. They said, oh, and Okubo can work hard. I was like that. Because I was the fear of poverty going back to Ife. I said, I must make it. So, the story of my life, so now imagine suddenly finding yourself in exile. And my younger cousin, Shegun Fatoye, called me one afternoon and said, so what will you be doing in London? I said, I don't know. You don't know. Said, London, there's no big man here. Very soon, if you are not careful, you'll be washing plates or even dead bodies. I said, no, it's not going to be my portion. I said, then you must do something. He was the one who suggested to me, I didn't even have the brain to think about it, that, hey, you are a damn good journalist back home. Why don't you start something? I said, but money, my mom taught me that money says, if it is not at home, let no man make any plans in his absence.
I know that right, they plan with me.
The plan. So, and then he said, let's do a business plan. Let's see what's chasing us before we start running. So we did the business plan. We saw that small scale, we needed about 150,000 pounds to start. If you sold my family from first generation to the last generation, there was no way I could come up with that kind of money. I approached my bank manager at the National Westminster Bank in London, NatWest. And the white lady, looked at me and said, Dele, I like you so much. I said, yes, I know. He said, but I can't help you because you have no record, no history of doing business in the UK. Nobody can give you a loan. He said, but I can take a risk. I could see the enthusiasm in your face, so I can take a risk and give you a loan of £5,000.
From 150,000.
From 150,000. And then my uncle, Chief Ezekiel Fatoye, he was one of the directors of Nitel in those days. In our family, we have scholars. We know how to read books, but we don't know how to count money. So he had to scrape his savings and everything, and he gave us the first £10,000.
Wow.
Eventually, a few friends also contributed their own,
Widow's mite.
Yeah, and it was nowhere near what we wanted. Shortly before we started, one of my partners pulled out. He said my ideas were too fantastic and fantabulous that it cannot fly. How can you have about £20,000 and you want to go and rent an office in Docklands around Canary Wharf?
Docklands, Canary Wharf.
Yeah, we were among the first 3 black businesses there. I was very audacious.
£20,000.
Yes, and I spent £14,000 on rent for 1 year. Remaining £6,000.
So we're talking about what year?
1996.
As a 1996, £14,000.
Yes. I'm a risk taker. I tell people you can't be a good publisher if you're not a gambler. Oh yeah, it's the ultimate casino. Only the big players can survive. Because the higher the risk, the bigger the jackpot. So that was how we started it. But it worked wonders. But before it worked wonders, another sad story. The day we moved in, we went and bought some second-hand furniture. In London, you can get furniture that will look as if it is brand new, but they're actually used. So we were in the office, we set it up, then we bought a bottle of cognac, say, okay, let's celebrate. And now we're about to begin. Wham! A bomb exploded. I started running. Abacha. I thought Abacha had found me out in London.
Oh my goodness.
My cousin abandoned his wife. Everybody for himself, God for us all. Everybody running in different directions. Actually, it was a bomb from the IRA at that time, Irish Republican Army.
Wow.
And the police had evacuated the whole area. We were at the South Key Station. They had evacuated. We didn't know because we were right in the middle of the building.
Wow.
Do you know? The first thing that came to my mind is, so my friend who warned us not to take the office, you see, foolish people. You went there and took, and that's the thing about Nigerians, we belittle ourselves. A lot of us lack ambition. You want, how many of your mates you see in Docklands? You could have gone to Hackney, you could have gone to Streatham, you could have gone to Peckham or Brixton. No, I don't operate like that. I follow my own instinct. So, fortunately for us, and that's why it's good to pay for something of good value. Do you know that bomb blew up over 100 buildings? Yes, in the neighborhood.
Wow.
For years, some of those buildings were not yet reconstructed, and our own survived. You know why? The place was bomb-proof.
Wow.
Wow.
So we were able to return that part of the joy.
Yes.
When I say joy, it's part of the joy of doing something of quality. And then the other part about the joy was that any man, anyone who was who at that time wanted to see the office. All the people started trooping in. Even King Sunny Ade came, Baba Ebenezer Obey came, Sonny Okosun came, Lagbaja came. Cover in London, people in London, Egungun came to our office. Everybody came. And that was how everybody wanted to be innovation. Then we started advertising ourselves, saying that if your event is not innovation, if your wedding is not innovation, you may have to do it again. Yeah, I was a master of hype now.
Yeah.
I hyped innovation to the highest level. But we were having problems because I couldn't enter Nigeria. So you had to depend on people. So every day I had issues, and I was just wondering when it would end.
Damn.
The biggest challenge of exile and the biggest multi-dollar question is, when will it end? If they say your mother died, you can't go. Your father died, you cannot go. Yes, because once you sign to be a refugee, if you pull out the application, that's the end. So we applied for refugee status, what we call asylum. The good news again was that I don't know of any other family that was granted full asylum. The British government granted me and my entire family full asylum. Because my story was very straightforward.
Wow.
The other miracle was that when they were going to give us accommodation, we applied through the Camden Council, and the first place they took us was near a cemetery. And you are not allowed to reject anywhere they take you. You must accept it. We were already crying. My wife said, how will I be sleeping with all these dead people around us? You know? And then we got to the apartment. On paper, they wrote that it was a 3-bedroom apartment. But when we got there, it was 2. So we had a legitimate ground
To reject
it.
Wow.
So when they were not going to give us another apartment, they gave us in Hampstead East. The good thing about the British government, which I love about their welfare system, is that they do not want the gap between the rich and the poor to be too wide. So in every neighborhood where you have rich people, they will also provide something like council flats for the poor. So we're now giving a house next to the Royal Free Hospital in Hampstead. And Hampstead is where you find a lot of the movie stars and musicians and all this. You know, very posh area, close to Bishop's Avenue, close to Golders Green, close to Swiss Cottage, close to St. John's Wood, you know. And that was what they gave us. And that was how we started rebuilding our lives. God, I'm a child of destiny. There is no question about that. Because after some years, a few years, they offered us the apartment to buy it. Of course, we didn't have money to buy it, so we approached my wife's bank, Halifax, I believe at the time, for mortgage. And when they valued the property, it was valued at £230,000. And do you know how much the council was selling it to us? 132,000.
Wow.
So maybe we had an equity of about £98,000 immediately. So I told my wife, I said, look, I've suffered enough, but now let me enjoy. I went and bought a Bentley. I'm telling you, you know, my life, I'm very adventurous. I just went to a place called Straight 8 in Shepherd's Bush, where they said second-hand Bentley, but I got a good one and a left-handed one, which is not so that I can bring it
To Nigeria.
to Nigeria. Yes.
You use one bed to
So
keep
you
two
always
stone.
knew that you were going to come back?
Oh, no, there was no question about that. For as long as I was alive, I never planned to live abroad. So until Abiola died, I couldn't move. But they gave us refugee passport to travel all over the world except to Nigeria. You can't go to a place where you say you are particular. If you go there, it invalidates your stay automatically.
So what happened on the night that General Sani Abacha died? Because across parts of the southwest, it was a frenzy. People took to the streets. People were celebrating. I would just like for you to detail your experience in London when you got that news.
It's very interesting. Chief Segun Oshoba, I keep mentioning him as my mentor and my ultimate hero in journalism. I love him to bits. So Chief Oshoba was also wanted at that stage. So he fled Nigeria and he was living in his house in Swiss Cottage, which wasn't too far from us. And I think he had a back pain at the time, and he needed to exercise, do his physio, and so I used to go and join him, and then we take a walk together uphill, but there were a lot of hills around there. So we walk together, and then one morning, one morning, someone called me and said, "Have I heard that Abacha is dead?" Early morning, I said, "How can Abacha die? Abacha can never die now." Abacha. Stop, don't say nonsense before they arrest you. I said, Abacha, I said, I just went back to sleep. Then after a few minutes or so, then my phone rang. Chief Oshoba was on the phone. Chief said, "Dele, where are you?" I said, "I'm still in bed." "You are in bed? How can you be in bed when your biggest enemy has died?" I said, "No, which enemy died?" I said, "You too, Daddy, you are helping them to spread rumor." He said, "Can you shut up? Which rumor?" He said, "I'm the best reporter Nigeria ever produced. We always call him the best reporter. He said, "Abacha is dead." I said, "Okay." Within seconds, my phone started ringing. CNN called me. Yes, and said, "Are you aware that Abacha has died?" I said, "Who told you that?" They said, "We've confirmed it from various sources. He's dead. That if at this stage they are already making plans to go and bury him in Kano." So that was how they invited me to their studios around I think Tottenham Court Road at that time. So I dressed like I was going to a wedding. And then we started planning and hoping and dreaming that Abiola would be released. So I don't know what happened. But on July 7, I remember that day vividly because my second son was born July 7. And by the way, my lucky number is 7. I'm 7 years, 7 months, 7 days older than my wife. I've never, 7 is the number of perfection. Our houses is usually number 7, number 77, number 67, flat 7. You won't believe it. Wow. My wife was born in 1967. My father died in 1973. My mother died in 2007. My life, if I want to rent a house now, I'll just get there, I will find 7. Our office in Ikeja GRA is number 67. You won't believe it. And it's not as if I'm the one looking for it. No, not on purpose. So that day, a man, he had problems with his eyesight. His name is Yinka Ibiduni. The Nigerian was working on Spectrum Radio in London. So he woke me up, I think a few minutes after 7. Said, Mr. Dele, blind people, they amplify
the other sense.
Yes. So I said, "I'm sleeping now." He said, "They want to kill your father, you are sleeping." I said, "Who wants to kill my father?" He said, "Chief Abiola." He said, "Are you not aware?" I said, "I'm not aware." He said, "I've just listened to BBC World Service or whatever, and they interviewed the Americans who came to see Abiola today. Thomas Pickering and Susan Rice, and from what I can deduce from their interview, Abiola would die." Abiola had not died. You will not believe it at that time. I said, "Please, I don't understand what you are saying." I said, "Abiola would die." He said they asked them that other world leaders had come to visit Abiola in Nigeria, including the United Nations Secretary General Dr. Kofi Annan and the Commonwealth Secretary General Chief Emeka Yaku. And Abiola said he will not compromise. So they asked the Americans, "So what will you do different, and what will happen if Abiola also says no to you?" He said the answer was then Abiola would have become a danger to Nigeria. Yes.
The Americans gave this answer.
That's what he be doing to me. Nika, he be doing. So I panicked. So I quickly put a call through to Wura Abiola, Abiola's daughter. Call Abiola, same father, same mother. You know, very brilliant girl. Very, very, very brilliant lady. One of my heroes. I really respect her brain. So I was interacting with her at that time. And the day before, 2 days earlier, that day would be a Tuesday. July 7 would be a Tuesday. So on Sunday morning, Unduka Bagbenatu was already on the run, was also in London. So we went to Unduka's house off Park Lane. And myself and Tokumbo Afikuyomi, who later became a senator. So we were walking to Mabulaj to go and take taxi home because we had been with him all night. So when we got to Mabulaj, there was a news agent. So we went and bought the Sunday Times of London for that day. When we bought it, we now saw a story on Abiola in which Kofi Annan had visited Abiola and Abiola refusing blatantly never to compromise his mandate.
So they wanted him to...
Yes, to recant, apologize, even apologize for winning an election and yeah. So, and signing an agreement with them that he will not pursue his ticket again, his mandate. So, and the man who wrote the reporter, the Sunday Times reporter, had followed Kofi Annan to Abuja, where they saw Abiola. He said the condition under which they met Abiola was very excruciating because they wouldn't allow him to watch, to listen to radio. He had television in front of him. It was, I think, during the World Cup. No voice, no audio, no.
Wow.
Just visuals. He said he believed that they were trying to break him down.
Yeah.
Hey. Yes, and he said what they were doing to the man was wrong. I'm very sad that a man won an election and instead he became a prisoner. So we started. So I started screaming. I said, Wahala. So I called Wura. She said she was on her way to Cambridge and that she would come back later. Wura started crying. We have failed Daddy. Does it mean we cannot rescue Daddy? Say, what do we do? Mr. Momodu, I think maybe you have to reach out to your friends. The Ganifa means the Falanos. They should leave Daddy alone and let Daddy come home. You know, because they are the ones saying they should not agree. You should not say that. I said, no, don't worry. You know, I'll reach out to them. Then she advised that we should write a press release later in the day and send to all the newspapers that Abiola will accept any condition. They should just let him come home so that he doesn't die in prison, you know. So I called a friend of mine in Nigeria. She was working with LTV8 at the time. I called her. I said, Funke, I'm having a premonition that Daddy is going to die. Yes, I predicted it 2 days before. I felt it. You know, when you are close to someone, you can feel things. She said, Odeni, who wants to kill your daddy? You are just being emotional. 2 days later, he died. So that morning that Yinka Ebudinu saw that thing, you won't believe it. By about 4:03, thereabout, Chief died. And it was so dramatic because we actually wrote that press release, me and Wura. So in those days, we were using fax machine. We didn't have WhatsApp. So the last version she sent to me came out at 4:03 p.m.
Goodness.
On the fax. That moment that the thing was going through my fax machine, Chief Soul was on the way to Aljana. You know, as soon as that fax came out, Wura called me. I thought maybe she wanted to make a correction. I was hearing a lot of noise. Yeah, want to padadi oh, want to padadi oh, I was hearing something else like, want to release Daddy. Because that's what I wanted to hear. I said, what are you talking now? He said, I didn't want my daddy is dead. Can you call your contacts at Sky News and all of them and check? So my wife was sitting in front of me like this, looking at the drama, the madness, the bedlam, you know. Then I put on Sky News and I just saw breaking news. Nigeria's Momodu Abiola is dead. My world froze. My world froze. So I quickly told my wife I have to go to Chief Abiola's house in Chester Terrace. They were living in Chester Terrace, you know, just by the Regent's Park. So I went there. Kola was the only one in Nigeria. His other siblings were there. Ayodeji, Agbola, Bolaji, my wife's namesake, and Wura. The four of them were there. And they were now frantically looking for how to get flights back to Nigeria. You know, Muslim, they have to bury him as soon as possible and all that. And I couldn't make that because as a refugee now, you have to plan well. And that was the end.
Wow. Yeah. So more contemporary issues.
No, but one last one on 993, you know, because this whole thing wouldn't have happened because if somebody had done what they were supposed to do. Recently, Babangida wrote a book and openly agreed that he regretted annulling the 1993 elections.
And
right? He admitted that Abiola actually won the election. And then the likes of Femi Falana had come out to say that they are going to assemble a team of lawyers and that they have to sue Babangida. Do you share same sentiment? Do you think that Babangida just coming out to say I'm sorry is enough, or you share sentiment like some other Nigerians who think for somebody that did something of that magnitude, he should have left that place in handcuffs?
Well, let me tell you that I'm not a normal human being. I'm a big fan and a disciple of Abiola. And if you are someone's disciple, you learn from them. I learned a lot from Chief Abiola. Chief Abiola was not a vindictive person. Even there was a story published at that time by Temple, but I was involved, that he wanted to reignite his relationship with Babangida. He loved Babangida passionately and almost unconditionally. In fact, I couldn't believe that the annulment ever took place. So, one, I believe the error Baba, I call him Baba, that IBB made was not to apologize. He didn't apologize. He only said, I accept responsibility. There's a difference between accepting responsibility and apologizing. If he had come out, if I was one of his speech writers, I would have ensured that the apology was full, was total, was unequivocal, and unconditional. He didn't do that. I think he missed that opportunity again. I've been advising him and the family for long that until you give a full apology, this thing will not go away. His daughter is my very good friend, Aisha. You know, Babangida did a lot of good things. Unfortunately, that June 12 killed it. So, as to people have asked me this question, one or two television stations asked me immediately after the book launch if I can never forgive him. I said I forgave him long ago. I'm not God. My religion teaches me to forgive my enemies, my seducers, my traducers 70 times, 7 times. That's what the Bible told me. And I practice it religiously. I can fight you now and almost immediately I'm also your friend again. People have hurt me, they've injured me, they've disparaged me, they've hurt my feelings, and yet you will see me with them tomorrow. Even the Abachas, I leave people to God because vengeance does not belong to me. Maybe I'm being overtly religious, but so for the peace, for my peace of mind, if I don't let a lot of things go, I will carry the burden forever, and I don't want to carry anybody's burden. Leave everybody to their God.
Interesting. Still about contemporary issues and forgiveness. Let's go to Rivers State, because it would appear like somebody does not want to forgive or forget. You have the minister of the FCT and you have the governor of the state at loggerheads. Two people who were bodies before the elections and then things just took a nasty turn. So first, I would like for you to address the issue of politicians and their interest, and how you have followers dying, and the very next day these politicians can make up and become the very best of friends and say it was just our differences that resulted in us falling apart. That's number one. Then number two, how do we resolve this issue? Because even the good people of Rivers State are now at the receiving end. The Supreme Court recently, ruled that the local government funds, the federal government should withhold local government funds until things are properly done. And we saw a video of the minister and his supporters thanking God, praising God, rendering songs of praise and worship. And you are seeing people who are saying the people of the state are at the receiving end of whatever is happening. But because of the interest of two political gladiators, we're having this issue.
Okay, let me start by telling you that I'm sure maybe you're not aware that I was quite, in fact, I would say very close to Wike.
You are no longer close?
No. Me, I'm very frank. I knew him briefly through his former boss, Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, when he was governor. Amechi had been my friend since he was Speaker of the Rivers House of Assembly, the same chaotic House of Assembly now. And after that, he became governor, and we became very close. I was writing good things because he had a lot of laudable projects. Then Wike came, he started fighting
Rotimi
Amechi. I didn't really get involved, except that there was one article he said I wrote, I can't even remember, but Wike told me one day, I went for the Guild of Editors Summit in Port Harcourt. I went with Nduka Baigbena, Kabiru Yusuf of Dele Trust, and our late godfather, Ismaila Funtua, and Nduka Baigbena. So 4 of us, we went, he hosted us, and the way he spoke, the way he treated us, we were happy. He appeared very normal, He even said that when he read what I wrote about him that day, his body was shaking. Because, I write with so much passion, but not with venom. There's a difference. I always try to, So, and then I didn't hear from him again until, that was where I also met Prince Secondus. Hopefully, we will talk about Secondus somewhere along the line. So, we left, I went back. I live between London, Ghana, and Nigeria. I keep 3 homes. One in London, one in Ghana, and one in Lagos. So, I interviewed Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It's one of my toughest and most volatile interviews ever. Kanu is a very, very brilliant guy. Extremely intelligent. You can't bully him, you can't put him down. So I did it on Instagram. It was a live Instagram live. In fact, it was so hot and everybody was watching, including Wike, apparently. I was doing it from my house in Ghana. And Kanu was so excited that the following day he tweeted that he was honored to have been interviewed by the Larry King of Africa, Dele Momodu. That's what he wrote, But during my interview, he attacked Wike. I don't know what led to that. But I think Wike was saying he's not an Igbo man. And he was saying, how can somebody who bears Inye from Wike say he's not an Igbo man and all that? So, but Wike insisted, and he still insists today that he's not an Igbo man. That is, I think it's an Ikwere man from Rivers. Anyway, during the interview, Nnamdi Kanu said, anybody who can help me find Wike's head, he will pay the person 50 million. Yes, live. I'm telling you. So then after the interview, Wike reached out to me. That he heard what Nnamdi Kanu said about him. That whosoever can find him Nnamdi Kanu's head, he will pay the person 100 million.
Aura for aura.
Double the price.
You know? So, Wike now insisted that I must do his own interview. I said, okay, no problem. So we fixed the following day. But when the following day came, I think he said he was busy, but that we should fix. I think I did Kanu on Wednesday. I was to do his own on Thursday. He now said if I can do his own now on Friday. So by which time I was now in Nigeria. So I did his own from my house in Nigeria. It was hot. You know Wike now. He blasted and blasted anybody, anything on his path. He blasted. You know? So, but I could see that he was enjoying it. You know, when Wike likes something, he's ready to do anything to keep it. But his biggest problem is anger management. He can't manage his anger. He cannot take no. Everything must be according to his wish and his will. So he now begged me that I should come to Port Harcourt the following day, that I should come and see his developmental project. And me, I love when a leader is doing projects for his people, because that's what we fought for. That's the whole essence of democracy. It doesn't matter which party you belong. And interestingly, I was going to join PDP anyway, because I had plans to run for election in 2023, presidential election. I had done one in 2011 on the platform of National Conscience Party. I started from Labour, but Labour threw me under the bus when they said they were not interested in presidency. So I had to leave to go to Gani Fahimi's NCP. So anyway, on Saturday morning, I and my team, we flew to Port Harcourt. Wike was really ready for me. He sent his own personal backup vehicle as governor, official, to meet me at Bulletproof, with a detachment of security at the airport waiting for me. And I went, and he enjoyed. He was personally taking me around projects to see. We became the best of friends. We shared food. We shared alcohol. If I taught me how to drink things I never drank in my life, I never tasted gin and tonic in my life. He taught me. He's a man, when he comes, he's a connoisseur of the choicest whiskeys, cognacs, champagne.
That's an alcoholic DJ. He mixes.
You know? He mixes. And we became friends. I love his work ethic. Very, very hard-working man. Me, I say the good things I know about people, and I say the little bad I don't know. If he had managed that relationship well, he was already looking different, dressing better, talking better. You know, when you move with people, especially people like myself who are into branding and rebranding, there is no way it will not rub off on you. So we liked each other, and he took good care of me. But I'm one person. If you like, give me $1 billion. If you don't respect me, or when you stop respecting me, I will never agree. I'll walk away. Yes, people think I'm stupid, that how can you know all these big people and you still be complaining that you are broke? Doesn't matter. I manage what I have, because I believe it's not how much you have, it's how you manage what you have. You can have $1 billion and still be a useless person. Yes, I will walk into the gathering of billionaires and I will still shine. It's the glory of God. It's not about how much I have. So at any rate, that was how our relationship started. Then it started having problems in Oyigbo, which some people call Obi-Igbo, local government. There was mayhem, there was arson, they burnt down houses, burnt down security posts, you know, and he had to declare a curfew. So after some time, when the thing was calming down a bit, people were still saying on social media that it's not true, that he had killed too many people and he's still killing. He used me to go there with all the security and everything. I went there and I was reporting live from the streets of Oyigbo and showing people how peace was returning to Oyigbo. Now, let me fast forward. Trouble started the moment I declared interest in presidential election. He had not told anybody he wanted to contest, but I was suspecting because of the branding and how much he was spending on journalists. He had retainerships with NTA, with the Channels TV, with AIT, and later with Ovation. And those things are not cheap. But he was getting good results. Everybody was talking about Mr. Project, Mr. Project, Mr. Project, you know. So I now tried to meet him to tell him that I'll be contesting and I will need the support. And before then, I'd also traveled around Nigeria. I'd met emirs, met sultan, met everybody. And the general impression I was getting was that if Wike wants to run, he will have problems, especially in the north. The northerners would support anybody but not Wike. So I tried to tell him that this is what I had picked up, so you can then know how to handle it, and that in case you are not able to run, will you kindly support me? What's the crime in that? I already considered you my friend and everything. And he told people, he stopped picking my call. He told people which Dele, even live on television, Sheon Kibaloye, on channels. They said, so what about new entrants like Dele, Momodu? They say, get serious. Which Dele, Momodu? I said, me? Wike is now saying me, who is there? Wike that told me that he used to watch myself and his boss, Amechi, when we are flying helicopters on top, that he would be there, they would look at us and say, hey, see this people, they are enjoying, you know, that kind of thing. So suddenly, because you've now made money, power, and whatever, you think you can insult me. And in Yoruba culture, there is a saying that if you cannot go forward, you can at least go back to where you are coming from. So that was how things broke down before us. I wrote him letter, I did everything, he ignored it completely. Our mutual friends tried. In fact, I wrote a letter which I copied Professor Michael Zekume, SAN. I copied him that letter. I also copied our mutual friend, former Minister of Justice and Attorney General, Mohammed Bello Aduke. You know? And they both said, oh, it was good that it's only a friend who can advise a friend. And I told him, and I copiously, I broke it down. What will happen if he decides to run? That he will meet with stiff resistance. And that's what happened. The day of our primary, he was so sure nobody can beat him. And wallahi, nobody could have beaten him if not for the master stroke that the North played against him when Governor Tambuwa suddenly pulled out, sacrificed his own. And that is the thing about politics. It's give and take. He never recovered from it. He became inconsolable. To quote a former president, I don't want to mention the name, he said, Wike said nobody can console him. He's inconsolable. Because he was so sure, he spent so much money. And he looked at, but he was just too tempestuous, which was what I was working on to make sure that if you want to be president of a nation, you must learn how to calm down. You must learn how to look cosmopolitan. You must learn how to, carry everybody along. But I guess he wanted to use the style Tinubu used eventually, because Tinubu had to bully his way through, just like Donald Trump bullied his way through in America. It works for some people, but Wike's own, he did not know how to balance it. And I'd warned him about it. So, on his problem with Fubara, God is my witness, I don't know Fubara well. And I have never spoken to Fubara one-on-one till today. I was dealing with his boss then. I used to see him around. He would bring files and about. We have never till today. People thought Fubara is the one funding me to attack Wiki. No, I've never. No, I'm saying it publicly now. Anybody who knows Fubara should go and ask him. The only Fubara I know was a man I met at the airport one day. I was sitting in the lounge in Port Harcourt. I went for a funeral. And the man walked up to me and said, "Oh, I'm the governor's brother." And I said, "Oh, how are you? How is he doing?" He said, "He's doing fine." That's the only Fubara I know. I respect myself. I told you, I defend the underdog. I will defend Fubara anywhere, anytime. Not for a penny, not for a kobo. So, I believe Wike should have taken his own advice. You remember a viral video where he was saying anybody who does not respect a governor, who does not do something, then in fact, when Dave Rumai, the then governor of Ebonyi State, decamped to APC, Wike blasted him so much. He said, "How can you leave headache or malaria to cancer?" That in fact, he paid to abuse him on television. I handled that press. Yes, I'm saying it publicly. He paid television houses to come and interview him so that he will blast Dave. I don't know in the same party today whether he joins or not. And when people say, "Oh, he's destroying PDP," oh yes, but a lot of, I'm sure there are stories of insects who would think they are killing a tree or something and they end up killing themselves. Yes. Folk tales are replete with stories. I saw the deal, but it's a matter of time. I have no doubt they will use him and dump him. He believes that nobody on, he said, "I'm not afraid of anybody on earth." And the day he said that, I said, even God does not talk like this. So don't worry. You know, and he's a man. God has overblessed him. Beautiful family, beautiful wife, brilliant wife, good-looking children. I don't know much about them, but I see them around. They are calm and everything. But every day they see you on television, you are fighting one imaginary enemy or the other. Why? I've tried to advise him publicly. I've written public letters, open letters to him. He doesn't listen to anybody. But I know one day he will remember everything I told him. But it just might be too late. He doesn't know the people he's dealing with. I've been with them. Before, during, and after June 12th, I've been with them. I know that if I'm not there today, you should know that it's because I want my freedom, not because I hate Tinubu or Tinubu hates me. If Tinubu and I see tomorrow, we will still hug. The man, Tinubu is a smart man. He knows the people who are not doing things because of money. He knows Dele is not opposed to him because of money. It's because I'm defending my own party. I'm in PDP. I'm not one of those people somebody wrote yesterday. Now that, who joined them now? Okay, the person didn't join them. They said Jandor. So Jide gave a press conference 2 days ago that he has dumped PDP. But he hasn't said where he's going. And they say, "Oh, Dele too will soon do it." So I'm a part-time politician. So I don't care what anybody says. I'm not interested. If I wanted to be with Zimbabwe, but Atiku gave me an assignment. And there are reasons I'm fascinated by Atiku. People don't know. If you say he's old, he's this. It doesn't matter. It's not about your age. I've read stories. I've read stories about Joe Biden. I've read about Donald Trump. They are very old people. I've read about Abraham Lincoln, how many times he tried. And I've witnessed Buhari. It has nothing to do with age. It's your ability to win election. Everybody's attacking Atiku because he's the only one today who is not afraid of Tinubu. Every other person, quote me, they can't face him.
Including Mr. Peter Obi.
I said everybody.
Everybody.
Except him cannot face Tinubu head on. No.
Okay, so you mentioned Joe Biden, Donald Trump. You have said it's not a function of age.
Yeah.
And you said you also witnessed Buhari. But twice. Yes. But if we look at politics in the United States of America and Nigeria, there's a contrast. And if in the way we play our politics, if indeed we want to find solutions to the problems, we need somebody who is hands-on and who can, take on these challenges and resolve them. Do you think that of all the, let me lump everyone together, of all the candidates in 2023, including yourself as an aspirant, do you think that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, this is leaving your party now? I know you are a member of the PDP, but leaving your party now, do you think that, there were no better alternatives compared to what we have today, or the major candidates we had at the time? For example, somebody like Omoyele Sowore.
You see, life is not about comparing the incomparables. Life is about experience, about exposure. And when I talk about experience, until you've tried someone, you will never know their capability. But you can look at their past record. Of all of them, the only person who had been a vice president and the most successful vice president of them is Atiku. Don't forget that Atiku is so accommodating, so cosmopolitan, so visionary that in 2019, Peter Obi was his running mate. Why are people suddenly forgetting that the man had used Peter Obi? Everybody is saying we want Igbo president, we want Igbo president. If Atiku had been president and Peter Obi became vice president, it would be just one leg to being president. He had used Senator Ben Obi at the time. He had used, I remember his name, the former Senate president who died.
Chuba
Okadibo. Those are men of timber and caliber. You understand? But of all of them, trust me, he managed the economy during the Obasanjo, and that's still the best. That was when they wrote off our debt and everything. You can say whatever, nobody is perfect, no leader in this world is perfect, but Atiku has been a performer. Then the first platform for me is you must be a Democrat. How democratic has he been? I'll start from 1993. He contested against MKO Abiola. We're all talking June 20. We always forget to acknowledge Atiku's contribution. But for Atiku stepping down, maybe Abiola would not have even gotten that ticket.
Just convention.
In Jos, I was there. I was live. I was a young man. I was 33 years old or less. And they had to get his mentor, Major General Shehu Musa Yaradua, to get him to step down for Abiola. And he went away. No quarrel, unlike what Wike is doing now, throwing tantrums and giving all kinds of reasons why he cannot agree. You can't be angry forever. No matter who you are. You must have that spirit that, okay, on this occasion I didn't get it. I told you, I ran away from Nigeria crying, but I came back with ovation.
Standing one at that.
Literally.
You don't know why God does certain things in your life. If you get angry, you throw a stone at a goat in the marketplace, you go and hit your relative. So, for me, Atiku, he did that one. That was my first time of noticing him as a politician. Then he went away, the crisis came, everything came. His mentor died, he survived. All he wanted was to be the governor of Adamawa and all that, yes. The old Gongola. He had even become the governor. Then suddenly they called him to come and be vice president.
Yes.
Obasanjo. And I looked at his cabinet. He had a star-studded cabinet, the youngest guys. He picked you not because you are a northerner, not because I can give you names. Me, I deal with facts. We had Onuka Badinoyojo, who was from Kogi State. He was my friend. He was one of the best writers ever at the Guardian newspaper. He was the man who invited me to Lagos to become a journalist. He died, unfortunately, a few years back. We had Chris Mama, who was an editor at the Punch newspaper. He's not from the north. He had Professor Adeolu Akonde, an Oyo State man.
So that ability to gather people from different parts.
He gathered the best of the best. In fact, he got to a stage when he started fighting with his boss that they started sacking all those people. They were just damn too good.
But looking at Nigeria today, do you think that quality alone is enough?
Wait, now, Shebi, you asked me.
All right, sir.
And I'm explaining it.
Thank you, sir.
You see, let me tell you, that's how you know a leader. He was an administrator. He produced El-Rufai. El-Rufai became one of the best guys to sort out Abuja FCT. That was one of his guys. They were all around him. And as the manager of the economy, you could see the caliber of people he worked with. Another thing that fascinates me about Democrats, I hate thuggery. Politicians in Nigeria believe so much in violence. I hate violence vehemently. You will never find a thug in front of Atiku's house or office. I was the director of strategic communications for Atiku this last election. And I worked day and night from his office in APCO, the Atiku Presidential Campaign Office. It's called APCO in Abuja. You would think you are in Cambridge or Harvard. The quality, you will not believe that is a presidential campaign. Till today, he's still maintaining it. He left office in 2007. I don't know of anybody today who has Atiku's quality of life. The number of businesses, the number of employees is one of the biggest employers of labor in Nigeria. They hate him, they did everything about him, but he's still surviving. He flies his private jet. When he's tired, he goes to his Dubai. People abuse him, he goes to Dubai. What do they? They want him to be a nuisance and be disturbing governor of Adamawa and begging for money. Politicians live like parasites. You can't call Atiku a parasite. He doesn't control a single state in Nigeria. These are facts. You can fact check it. I'll continue to say it's not perfect. I'm not perfect. You are not perfect. But I wish we have politicians who have their means of income. He is a consummate businessman. He invested heavily in education. Education is my passion. The American university, from primary to secondary to university, and he invested heavily in agriculture, food production. You find him there. Intel was one of the best things to happen to Nigeria. They made sure they pulled him out and put their friends there now. He moved on. They said he must divest and sell off his shares. That is one politician that you could point to and say, this is how he earns a living. If we don't appreciate that, then we will never appreciate anybody. When I was working for him, people were going to him to say, I'm Tinubu's boy. And everybody knows that, yeah, it's true, I'm Tinubu's guy. I've never denied it. If someone told Tinubu, if I was working for Tinubu and someone say I'm Atiku's guy, they will fire me. Of course. Atiku never blinked an eye. He said if Dele decides to betray me, it will just be one of them. It won't be new. That it won't be the first time I've been betrayed. Once he gave me that job and I accepted it, no Jupiter was going to stop it. People were calling my wife, abusing me. You're an ingrate. Tinubu helped you before. I said, yes, I know. Me too, I've done a lot of things for Tinubu before, so it's good. I'm not fighting him. I respect him. I will say I love his person. He's a very kind-hearted, generous person. But politics, I cannot stand anything that suggests that your word is law and nobody else can challenge it. Even Baba Ulawa, people argued with him.
It's okay that you have your principles and you
Look at
stand by
this
them.
issue of this Lagos State House of Assembly. See how it turned out.
They say it is the sophistication of Lagos politics.
It is good. I like the semantics. You know, in semantics, you can somersault and...
We're taking it home. But still talking about the legislative arm of government, let's talk about Senators Akpabio, Senate President Akpabio and Senator Natasha. You know, recently she publicly claimed, that the Senate President sexually harassed her, and she says that she has evidence to back this. There are certain people who have responded to this whole situation. For example, we have seen Senator Ireti Kingibe, we have seen Senator Itagiwa, and some people have said that, if you look at Nigeria today and the condition that women have to deal with in our politics, this is a very, very important point in our history, and something must be done to give women that power and that sense of confidence in Nigeria's political setup. I would like your thoughts on this. When you first heard this, what was your initial reaction before you now look at, the situation and how some people have responded to the issue?
I watched it live on Arise News. I was shocked. I was stunned. I was flabbergasted. And my initial reaction was, oh wow, where are we going this route again? The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, is a man that I admire in some ways. And my admiration, I told you, I love projects, stemmed from when he was governor of Akwa Ibom. And I saw the number of good projects that he did. And he's a very friendly man. I remember I went for the wedding of one of his guys, the former president of what do we call them? University something.
SUG or alumni?
No. The university, the national one, NANS.
Okay.
NANS. So, Bong, that's the name of the guy. So his wedding, I was the chairman of the day. And Governor Akpabio was the father of the day. So we both met there. I like to say the good things I know about him. And he invited me over in the evening to dinner in the State House. And I went there and everything. And I saw a very, very jovial, very lively, very friendly human being. And everywhere we met, we have mutual friends at home and abroad. There are presidents in Africa who are our mutual friends, and we always talk about him. Like someone said, I can't remember who said it now, that he jokes a lot. I read that one of the interviews recently, the person was saying, it's Senator Olujimi, Abiodun Olujimi, a woman too who was in the Senate, who said it that sometimes he carries his joke too far. So, and the lady was trying to suggest that maybe even when he told the woman, when will you comment, that maybe he was joking. And I think it's a poor joke if it was a joke. There are things that could become very sensitive. So, but when I listened to Senator Agboche, the place I disagreed with her, everything else was okay, was when she said, I didn't know whether to tell my husband or not. I believe she should have told her husband immediately that this man, your friend, can you warn him? And I'm sure the husband would probably say, don't mind him, he's joking. And then so at least you would have killed it at that stage. And if they ever go to court, which I hear they are in court, so I don't want to go, so I don't want us to go and run foul of the law. So, but I believe that, so the court will decide who they believe, especially if she says she has evidence. Yeah. But one thing I will never agree is the way people are trying to bully her into submission. I would never agree to that. Let her go to court. If she fails, she fails. If she wins, she wins. But if the elders can also intervene and bring them into a room, including her husband, the wife, Akpabio's wife, Akpabio himself. So we have a lot of mutual friends they respect, and even the presidency, at least they intervened. I would like to speak about Fubara again, the intervention of Tinubu on Fubara. If they can intervene, let them bring them into the room and let them all iron out their differences, apologize to each other and one another, and move on from there. Look, kids are watching. Kids are watching. It's unfortunate that every time we talk, we're talking about serious. The Senate is the highest, platform in a country. Apart from the presidency, the executive, you go to the National Assembly. And kids are watching them, and now they are hearing that somebody wants to sleep with me. Somebody wants to. I think we should rise above that. And so let them settle it if they can. If they can't settle it, well, they can wash their dirty linen in public. That would be very unfortunate. But for me, nothing is too much for peace.
Interesting.
There was something I said I wanted to talk about Fubara. I shouldn't forget that. Fubara and the intervention of Tinubu. I believe Tinubu needs to do something about Fubara. He was the one who called both parties and gave them agreements to sign. Fubara complied. He complied. Wike refused to comply till tomorrow. It's unfair that Wike will get away with everything and Fubara is now being threatened with impeachment. It is unfair. And Tinubu is watching. Why is Tinubu afraid of Wike? What's there to be afraid of? He helped you. Palabata, he gave you some votes. Palabata maybe raised some funds for the party, and so he won't be the first and he won't be the last. Any man who disrespects his own president and his own boss is not worth being protected. Tinubu should be bold enough to tell Wike nothing should happen to Fubara, because he called both of them. He said he should allow those legislators who voluntarily decamped to another party. And the law is clear on it. Once you decamp to another party, you automatically lose your seat. And the president called them, and as Omoluabi, Fubara went. Well, Fubara is not in their party, but he respected the office of the president like we all should do. It's no longer about Tinubu, whether we like him, we don't like him. He's the father of the nation. So I expected Tinubu to call Wike to answer, Mr. Wike, but I called both of you. How come one person complied and you are still troubling the man? If you truly love and respect me, leave him alone. You will see that with that the Wike will stop all this thing that he's doing. He's heating up the polity, and I can predict it. I'm watching it on television, that if they go ahead and impeach that person, we may return to those days when violence erupted. Do you know what President Yar'Adua went through to grant amnesty and do all those things? And now we want to go back to those days because of one man. You have been governor for 8 years. Governor for 8 years. You have been minister. You became governor for 8 years. You are now minister, one of the most important ministries in the land. The day you play God, God will show you now that you are not God.
Very true. We are taking it home now. But one more question. I would like for you to stare into your crystal ball. You have made some very important calls in the course of, your life and Nigeria's history. This is 2025. In 2 years, Nigeria will go to the polls. Presidential and governorship elections. I would like for you to stare into your crystal ball and, maybe make a bold prediction. I am very certain that the president is doing everything in his power to convince Nigerians that he would fulfill his promise and also be given another opportunity to run for a second term. And your party too, the major opposition political party in Nigeria, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, that you have spoken so highly of, is, I don't know. So I would just like, and Peter Obi is also your friend. And Showore is your
By all
wonderful
means,
Aburu.
my very dear,
So
I love him.
I would like for you to make a bold
I
prediction.
love the word you use for Tinubu, that Tinubu, you are sure he's trying to convince. I wish he's trying to convince Nigerians. That's the best thing for him to do. But if he's thinking of coercing,
But you wish. Do you mean he's, from what you see?
from
you
what I
think he's
see, I'm
convincing-
seeing use of force. I'm seeing use of force. I'm frank. I'm seeing use of force. They are destroying, APC is destroying other parties. I hear Ganduje every day. You know, and Ganduje is a very educated man. Say what you will about him. He's a very educated man. I feel sad anytime I watch him say, the next place you want to take over. Take over how? Just say the next place we are going to campaign, the next place we are going to show what we have done for them. That's okay.
But can't we say that's maybe just political lingo?
No, we see it physically. We see physical violence everywhere. They took over Edo State. It is possible they could still have won without going through all that hanky-panky. That's not democracy. You take over. My Egbon, Adams Oshiomhole will say, when you are in the other party, you are a sinner, but immediately you come to APC, you become a saint. You become, look, some people died for this democracy now. Don't let's put it at risk. We always think the things that happen in other places can never happen in Nigeria. We shouldn't put it at risk. It pains me. I never pray again in my life for violence in Nigeria, because it's the children of the poor people who will die. The rich will never. All their children, they have private jets waiting. They have helicopters waiting. They will take off. And the children of the poor will be put at risk again. It's not normal. So, my crystal ball. I think most of the major opposition parties are likely to collapse even if they don't die. They will be in coma, including Labour, PDP, NNPP, all of them. They will go into coma.
By the next election cycle?
Before the next, before very, very soon.
So PDP, Labour,
All
NNPP,
of them, they are already
in ICU.
They are in ICU. Thank you. They are in ICU. So the reason I told Alhaji Atiku the other day I went to see him that the only reason I haven't left PDP is that I don't want to send a wrong signal. People say, oh, I don't mind him. He wants to go and join the APC. Not me. Yeah, I'm very stubborn. I'm a Toryhan. Everybody can face one direction. I'll face the other opposite direction. I'm enjoying it. I love it. The way I'm tormenting some of my enemies who think, oh, he's one of them. What makes him superior to them? I am superior by principle. That's
Period. Period.
Superior by principle.
all. By principle.
Interesting.
Yes. And I'm paying dearly for it. I'm not a rich man, but God. I told you when I ran into exile, if I could survive and God gave me ovation, so who told me that God will not give me a bigger ovation tomorrow?
Interesting. So as we go home, former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, has been in the news, and it would appear like he has been calling for the galvanization of opposition political parties to rescue our democracy and give the APC, in quotes, a fight.
A strong opposition.
A strong opposition, and credible one at that. What do you make of these moves? What do you make of these moves?
Sorry, I'm tired. I won't lie to you.
Sorry, sir.
I don't think I've done an interview like this in many years. Anyway, that's where if I happen to be someone whose brain I respect a lot. I think he miscalculated by over-trusting the guys in APC. He doesn't know them. APC, as he thought, will move from being a Lagos affair, the local APC, to a national platform. He was wrong. Tinubu has never played at the national level. He has never contested any election. This is the first time he will contest at the national level and he won. So that exposure, he may have experience of governing Lagos, which is like a country on its own, but he doesn't have that exposure to higher calling at the national level. having money and helping people to become governor here and there, that's not governance. That's why I told you that Atiku is the only one who has done it at that national level. You see, Nasiru, I respect so much that when I contested in 2011, I approached him. I wanted him to be my vice president.
Wow.
That's how much I love brains. His brain is so fertile. He reads. You hardly see Nasiru on a flight, on a bus or anywhere without holding a book. I'm a bookworm too. So I always respect people like that. So, but I don't know how he fell for their, what's the word now? It's almost like he was jazzed. He carried that thing on his head, he and Mrs. Buhari. Today, I'm sure both of them must be regretting it. I pitied them. That I said, I was always shaking. Anytime I saw them on television, I was always shaking my head. And I know something for a fact. And please, this is something my viewers should hold tight. The first person a king beheads is the kingmaker.
At this juncture,
so that he does not make another king.
Yep.
No, and also so that you don't remind me of the
That
fate of when
I
he was
when he
a
owes
nobody.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. So final question. You mentioned earlier on that there are two people that you'd be willing to do anything for. One of them being MKO. Just wondering, who is the other person?
You see, the other person does not like being written about, does not like being spoken about. I refer to him as the spirit of Africa. And I coined that because he's the most reclusive businessman, one of the wealthiest people, not just in Nigeria, but in the world. Solid. He's an organic businessman. He's not an audio businessman. Very organic. And the reason I'll do anything for him was that I've known him since 1991. And after the departure of Chief MKO Abiola, I've not seen anyone who has surpassed this generosity. And this man does not want to be seen. In fact, one day he told me, I don't even want anybody to remember that I exist. I just want to live in my own world.
wow.
This is a man I know who has turned people into billionaires, and you will not hear about it. And he will even tell you, mom is the word, don't tell anybody. This is a man who will give cars out, sometimes in a year, 50 brand new cars or more. And I'm not talking about wretched cars. I know a famous actor who told me that he gave him a Range Rover, and in the same house he gave his wife a RAV4 together. This is a man who gives out the same cars that he drives himself. He will buy like 10 of it and give it to his friends. And one day I asked him, I said, why do you do these things? And his reply to me was, if you say your friend is a billionaire and it does not reflect on you, then it's not your friend. It's rare to find such a human being. I don't know any other person who does that. So I know Madame is dying to know who the person is.
Yes.
In the spirit of giving people their flowers.
Yeah,
If not anything.
everybody knows when you say the spirit of Africa. I won't say more than
All
that.
right, so we appreciate the spirit of Africa.
Africa, exactly.
And may that spirit continue to bless
Amen.
Africa.
Africa, yes.
God bless.
I